Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are on planet Earth or beyond. Thank you for tuning in to Yellowbird Uncaged. I'm Yellowbird. Today we're going to be making our very own Orgonite, cheaply and easily at home using stuff you probably already have lying around the house and maybe a couple other things you can get on Amazon. So this is the part 2 video of my 2-part series. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so before. It talks about Orgonite, where it came from, who discovered it, and why it's important to have in your house. So let's get started making our own Orgonite. So you'll need some supplies. First of all, you might want something to cover your counters if you care about them. If you get resin on your counter, you're probably going to be really sad if you care about your counter. It is not easy to get off. We are using this amazing 2-part clear coating and casting resin. I got this on Amazon. It was around $20. It comes with the part A and part B of the casting resin. You have to mix those 2 parts together equally to make your resin active so that it will get hard. It's going to get hard like a paperweight. You may have used it in like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or something like that to make paperweights. It's the same stuff. Let's resin. I got a resin. This is the Orgonite kit on Amazon. This contains everything you need to go inside the Orgonite. It does not include the casting resin itself or the molds. This was around $20 also. And your molds. These are silicone molds. I chose the pyramid shape. The shape of pyramids energetically promotes energy and also the life force energy. So if you want to get woo-woo about it, you can choose a very specific shape. This set, it was $11 and it came with 4 sizes. So big to medium to small to really small. You could also use a silicone cupcake tin. Be careful though if you use plastics that aren't designed for resin specifically, because it heats up while it's getting active and hardening, and it can actually burn a hole chemically in other plastics, so just be careful. That's about all I have to say on that one. Otherwise, you will need some type of little measuring cups to measure your resin. Your resin is going to be measured equally, part A and part B. These are just little cough syrup cup tops. They actually came in this kit, and you'll need something to mix your equal parts of resin in. One of these cups works fine. And something to stir it with. You can use anything from a plastic fork to a popsicle stick. And for today's video, I just have a pair of needle nose pliers. This is just for our copper wire that came in the kit. You don't have to use copper wire. I'm going to, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. So that's about it. If you purchase all of these products, you're probably into this for around $50. However, one piece of Orgonite that is about this size is usually around $20, somewhere in there. So this makes a whole lot of Orgonite, far more than one of these for $20. So you would definitely be money ahead to make your own Orgonite, and you can customize it to however you want it. That's the plus side to that. So let's check out what's inside this Let's Resin Orgonite making kit. There's metal shards of all kinds. These are little fine flakes. It looks like aluminum to me. This looks like iron shards, like what comes off of a cast iron skillet almost. This is copper. Here's some more. These are bigger, little twisty shards. These are kind of cool looking. Looks like confetti. That's probably aluminum if I had to guess. Keep digging for the metal here. This is brass. So inside your Orgonite, you don't have to have this fancy kit. You can choose to use anything from nails, screws, soda can tabs, spent bullet casings. Those are copper. Those are brass, and you could also use round, those little BBs for pellet guns. I've seen those. They look kind of cool in the Orgonite. You can use anything, any kind of metal. Foil, steel wool is a popular option. anything that you have lying around the house. Crumpled up foil would be probably just fine too. You could tear it up in little pieces. In this kit, because this is sort of a little artsy fartsy kit, there's this is gold foil, so that would be really pretty, and it does actually add to the metal content, so it has a decorative effect and it's useful, so that's my favorite kind of theme. There's all kinds of those. Okay, there's more. There's some more metal little shards. Okay. You'll also need for your Orgonite, which came in this kit, crystals. You will need quartz crystals. I'm not telling you this out of some kind of woo-woo hippie suggestion that somehow the magical, mystical powers of the crystal gods are gonna help you out by adding these. That's not the kind I'm talking about. These are rose quartz. These are clear crystals. These are amethyst, which is a purple quartz. It's the same thing as this, it just is a different color. You could use quartz that you pick up from outside of your house if you have some in your soil. Some people do, some people don't. It could be raw quartz like that, it doesn't matter. This kit also came with some stickers. These are pretty neat, they're like little decals. There's like a Merkaba and a flower of life. You don't have to have stickers. It's not going to make or break your Orgonite effectiveness. And it also came with copper craft wire. So to make your Orgonite, the basics on that are 50% by volume, not by weight, so by volume, some type of metal, or thereabouts 50%. It depends how you're making it. Sometimes you might use a little less metal depending on if you're making kind of a artsy looking piece of Orgonite, but as close to 50% by volume as you can get, and 50% by volume the casting resin. And then you'll also need quartz crystals, because quartz, like in a watch or a radio, are actually fantastic electricity or electromagnetic conductors, so you will need some type of quartz in it as well. So let's get cracking on making our Orgonite. So for this Orgonite, I'm going to pick out a piece of this clear quartz. I'm going to wrap it in copper wire. There's a reason behind that. If you wrap quartz in copper wire, the conductive abilities of it are much higher, so it just sort of helps it be a lot more effective. So you can cut off a piece with your nippers, and then this part is always a little trying on my patience. You're probably going to get stabbed with the wire, but you can cowboy up and pull through it, you'll be alright. So just wrap your quartz crystal with this copper wire. Perfect, just like that. Okay, you don't have to do this. This is not a have to, but you do have to include quartz crystal of some kind in your Orgonite. You don't have to wrap it in copper wire though. Okay, so we've got that part done. I'm going to move these out of the way. Now for the mixing part. And like I said, you could get any type of mold you want to. I think the silicone molds are the best. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of this in my mold. And then I'm going to tamp it down. Because I learned with the pyramids, if you want to get a perfectly sharp triangular top on it without the top being kind of funky with an air bubble when it dries, you'll kind of have to do that. Okay, then I'm going to put my crystal in, and again, this is just really a conductor type of thing. This has nothing to do with channeling the gods with your quartz crystal. I'm not knocking people that believe that, but if that's not your belief, that's fine. I don't know, something about copper that I like. So I'm gonna put that in. I personally like my Orgonite to look pretty, and so I just sort of add layers of metal of different kinds and the resin until I get it to look how I want it. It looks way better by the time it's all set up and dry than I actually thought it would look. I'll put some little iron in there. Makes your fingers turn black. You know what? My favorite is this gold. I think this is so cool. Little flakes. More resin. You could put like jewelry charms in here. Crap, I got some on my counter. I think that would be really cool. I've seen people put crosses, all kinds of different things. I'm not sure if any of that is going to work more effectively. For instance, if you put a metal cross, would that work more effectively than just regular metal because of the energy behind a cross shape? I don't know. I have not tested that theory out, but it probably is worth testing. I don't have an EMF reader. That's how you can test the effectiveness of these, is with an EMF reader, and I don't have one. So I probably need to get one because I would be interested to see how these work differently depending on what I put in them. There's certain metals that might work more effectively than others. So I think that would be a good thing to have. There are videos out there that show testing Orgonite with an EMF reader. You can put the EMF reader on a Bluetooth speaker and it'll give you a number readout, like say 637. And then if you put a hunk of Orgonite on top of the Bluetooth speaker, the numbers on the EMF reader immediately change. I'm putting purple quartz in here now. Anyway, the numbers immediately will go to 0 or in negative numbers if your EMF reader reads negative numbers. Not all of them do. Because this is really pretty. So the main point of this is just layer it. You want to layer the resin and the metal, just layer it all up. That's the best thing to do, and if you want to get fancy with it and put coloring in it, I've seen people use special resin colors that's made just for doing those projects. I've also seen people use other things, like just food coloring, so you can experiment with it and do whatever you think it is. I've seen people use jewelry charms that look like this, called a flower of life, inside of, and this is a geometric shape that has certain energetic factors I've seen people use those in Orgonite also, and it looks really pretty. They just put them on the bottom, sort of. So you can play around with this and get as creative and good as you want at making them. So in the meantime, I'm gonna set this to the side, and you can pour and make as many of these as your little heart desires. So happy Orgoniting. We're gonna let this set. This Orgonite, this resin is gonna get hot while it does its thing, while it's setting. And after it sets, it will be very hard, but it takes 24 to 48 hours for it to set up and be hard. So the length of time is gonna depend on how big your project is. This size probably would take about 24 hours to be completely hard and dry. I don't think it will take a whole 48. But anyway, we're gonna let this set, and I'll be right back with the finished product. So you won't have to wait 24 to 48 hours to find out. Okay, so it is officially the unveiling of our Orgonite. Amazing. It's been over 24 hours. It's actually been closer to 48. So the Orgonite has definitely set. It's very hard to pop it out of the molds. You just sort of get your fingers under there, pry it apart, and it should come right out. Look at how pretty that is. So, okay, for real, not only are these pretty, they really do have a use, like we talked about. This is going to be so good at This is going to be so great for getting those EMFs out of here and not affecting us, because no one needs that in their life. So again, EMFs are electromagnetic radiation that comes off of your cell phone, a Wi-Fi router. Wi-Fi is really bad for you, and it's very bad for your animals. In fact, your animals are probably the thing that is affected the most without you even knowing it. So I personally do not actually have Wi-Fi in my home. I will not. And I do not have Wi-Fi over here in the barn. I read too many things about it. I really don't want my DNA rattled apart, quite frankly. So no Wi-Fi for us at our house, and we survive. Magically, we're okay. We survive without it. I can do everything I did before without Wi-Fi. It's not that big a deal. Anyway, so also EMFs can come off of a microwave. That is a really bad thing. I don't have a microwave in my house anymore either, or over here. I will not use them. Some people think I'm the crazy hippie lady because I think that microwaves are horrible, but you can read Russian studies that have been done on microwaves, and they take over 80% of the nutrients out of your food when you microwave it in the first place, so you might as well be eating a napkin. Anyway, so that's my little rant on microwaves, but they do emit EMFs, and so pretty much anything that works wirelessly, or like a microwave, your cell phone, Wi-Fi router, any of those things, they all emit EMFs, and those are very bad for you. They're very bad for your health, for your cell health, everything. It's even bad for your animals. So this is going to help disperse it. And no, you don't have to make fancy Orgonite like this. It doesn't have to look like some kind of new age mothership looking paperweight. It doesn't have to look like that. You can make Orgonite as pretty or as plain as you want. Just remember to keep the formula the same, 50% by volume, or as close to that as you can get. Metal of any kind. That could include even like a metal jewelry finding, maybe like a pendant or something. You could put that in. It could be wire, nuts, bolts, screws, little bitty nails. If you have a big enough mold, you could put large nails, bullet casings, because those are brass usually. Any type of metal. It can be trash, it can be treasures, it can be anything. So literally your imagination is your limitation on that. And also inserting a piece of crystal quartz definitely helps the effects of it. And I probably would not be making Orgonite without putting some type of crystal quartz in it. And that can be any kind. It doesn't have to be a particular shape. It can be raw, like the kind that you might find out in your yard if you happen to have crystal quartz in your soil in your yard, or you could purchase it. That's the easiest way to get it. You can purchase little shards of it in a large bag on Amazon for very cheaply, anywhere from like $7 to $20, depending on the sizes and the quality of it. Anyway, so you can do that. You can put aluminum foil in here, anything you want. I put gold flake, of course, in some of this because it came in that kit that we talked about and that I showed you. It just really looks pretty, but it does add to the metal content of it anyway. So you can do all kinds of things with this. If you want to take your Orgonite to a whole other level, you can get a little sort of spherical looking piece of crystal quartz, wrap it in copper wire. This one has that. You can see like the bottom of it where I wrapped it in the copper wire, and it goes all the way through this. You can't see it at the top, but the crystal quartz goes all the way up here that's wrapped in the copper wire, and that just makes it a little bit more conductive electrically wise. So you can do all of these things to make your very own Orgonite and put them around anywhere in your house, by your microwave, by your cell phone. If you're sleeping with your cell phone next to your bed, which is probably the worst place you can put your cell phone, you probably should think about moving it and not doing that. You can put this on your cell phone or next to your cell phone where you keep it, and that will at least help. I will be honest, I actually do have my cell phone next to my bed most of the time when I'm sleeping. I know that's horrible, but I do like to listen to different things while I'm going to sleep. So that's the only reason I do it. It's bad, I know, but I do have a hunk of Orgonite by it, and I have noticed my sleep has improved a lot since I've done that. It has definitely helped. So my husband has a piece of Orgonite by his side of the bed, and he has also been sleeping better as well. So you could also put a hunk of this in your purse. That could definitely help if you're out and about somewhere, and Wi-Fi is everywhere now, so you kind of can't avoid it in most places. That can help you because it keeps it near your body. That way you wouldn't have to be wearing it per se on a piece of jewelry. I don't have any Orgonite jewelry only because I have other certain jewelry that I like to wear that is not Orgonite, and I'm pretty partial to that, so I just don't wear it because of that. But I do keep it either in my pocket or in my purse. You could put a little pyramid of it in your purse. That would work out well, but obviously for your pocket, the pyramid probably isn't the safest or most comfortable idea, so you could make one of those round flat discs of it, or a different shape that doesn't like poke you or put a hole in your clothing. I also am going to put a hunk of this in my chicken pen. I have read about different studies where people just did an at-home experiment. They put it in their chicken pen because they were having problems with predators, and then after that they had no more predator issues. So we'll see. I am curious to see how it works. I do have foxes, skunks, bobcats, mountain lions, all those types of predators out here where I live, and they have gotten some of my chickens before, so I'll see if I notice any difference in the chicken pen. Maybe my hens will start laying a crazy amount of eggs or something. Additionally, you could put one of these in your garden. You can see if it works for you. I've read a lot of studies about that. People have done at-home experiments, and it made their plants grow bigger, like I've mentioned before, and also kept pests off of their plants in their garden. I think I'm going to put one by some pumpkins that I have growing in my side yard, and see if I get plagued by ants again, like I usually do with the pumpkins. Also, I have a tree in the backyard that has something called oak wilt, and it's been a while. I think the tree is probably beyond help because it's had that disease for many years, but maybe it will help it. I don't know. I'll have to check it out and see if it makes a miraculous comeback. Remember, I told you I was putting a hunk of this by that tree, so happy Orgonite making, and I hope you guys experiment with this and make all the awesome Orgonite to your heart's desire. If you have any questions you want to comment down below, Put a comment down below if you've made Orgonite, if you've had any amazing experiences with it, and also if you notice a difference when you put it in your house, if your pets react differently. Pets are one of the most plagued things by Wi-Fi, and it affects them the most. So you might want to consider that if you have Wi-Fi in your house, that it's definitely affecting your pet. I would not put one of these where your dog could get it to chew on it. That could be very bad and cost you a trip to the vet, but you could put it up on a windowsill where they can't get it, something like that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss any of my amazing content. My next couple of videos coming out, I'm really excited to do because they're going to be very different and something I actually have not seen on YouTube before. So I'm super excited about that. Hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell so that you don't miss when those come on. That's your first thing on the to-do list. Second thing on your to-do list today, look in the description, the video description box down below. There's a little miniature arrow. It's a little gray arrow right there. Click that arrow, it drops down all of the video description information. And my book, my brand new book that's out on Amazon, is listed under there, a link to it in that description down below. Woke, the Bible and Science Behind the Law of Attraction. Woke, the Bible and Science Behind the Law of Attraction. You don't want to miss that book. It's a page turner. It's not super long, but long enough to keep you entertained. Soon to be available on Audible as well. So right now you can get it in paperback and Kindle editions. Woke, the Bible and Science Behind the Law of Attraction. Third thing on your to-do list, like this video if you want to continue seeing amazing content. Like this video and I'll keep putting it up. Otherwise, thank you, and I'm glad y'all tuned in today from wherever you are on planet Earth or beyond. I'm Yellowbird, and subscribe to my channel, Yellowbird Uncaged. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.